via Zoom. And so I'm very excited for that. You should all be very excited for that. Looking forward to it. And then tomorrow at 10 a.m., we'll have our last office hour with mentors. You'll be able to ask any last questions there. And I recommend you gear those questions towards your presentation because at 12 p.m. at noon tomorrow, you'll stop hacking. And at 1 p.m., we'll start project presentations where judges will join us via Zoom and they'll be taking notes on your projects. And then there will sometime after that, after everyone's presented, judges will have a breakout session where they will evaluate the projects based on the grading criteria. And then at 3:30 p.m., they will rejoin us on the main Zoom channel here and announce the winners. And we'll have our closing remarks. So as you can see here, all Zoom links were sent to attendees via email and posted on the Slack channel. So if you have any questions, you're not sure where to go, there's your answer. Next slide, please. So for this opening agenda, we're going to cover the ISAC Boston introduction. We're going to talk some more about what this event means, what it's about, what it's for. We're going to have some speeches from some sponsors and people who have supported us all these years in organizing this event. We're going to discuss the challenges. We're going to have introduce our sponsors, and they'll be able to talk a little bit about who they are. Kintone, one of our sponsors, will introduce their platform, which they've made accessible to us and to our participants this year. Very excited about that and excited to have you hear more about that. And then we'll talk about the hackathon rules, the timeline, the registration that you need to make to submit your project, the available resources online, how to submit your final project, and judging and logistics. So everyone knows what the expectations are for the projects and the timeline and the constraints that you have to operate within for a successful competition. Next slide, please. So about the NASA ISAC. So NASA started an outreach program where they wanted to present some of the challenges that they hadn't addressed yet. They were looking for new ideas and to refresh some of the existing solutions that they have for various research areas of research and innovation. And so what that ended up looking like is a global hackathon where they posted up, created categories of challenges and posted up challenges to, to challenge people to innovate everything from how to use and what to come up with the data that they've collected from these massive instruments that they have orbiting on around low Earth orbit, and also instrumentation that we have here on Earth, because it's just so much data, and ranging all the way from that to as I said, reimagining existing solutions and with modern technology, or thinking way far ahead into the future, envisioning what could be for potential solutions to address problems that we have now or that we will face in the future. So this event started in 2012, and Boston has been hosting it since 2014. And we're very excited to keep that tradition going and supporting and cultivating innovation and collaboration more than anything. Next slide, please. So there's some really interesting numbers. They've been hosting this event since 2012, and we've had it in Boston since 2014. As you can imagine, it's grown exponentially, right? So one of the really exciting things is that it's spread all the way to 225 locations across 71 countries. That's huge. I'm pretty sure that makes it the largest hackathon in the world, and that's very, very cool because it's free to everyone, right? And that's very powerful. And so one of the really cool things too, I think, is that they've been very inclusive for women. Women aren't equally represented in STEM industries, and NASA has made it a very welcoming environment. And I think it also falls on the local chapters. They've paid attention to that and promoted that kind of safe environment for everyone, for equal representation. And it gets better every year. So I'm really excited to be a part of an event that takes that into the consideration. So next slide, please. So, as I mentioned before, this year, usually we have a venue, we have sponsors, we have food, we have all these things that make it the event great. But this year, it's been a little bit different. With COVID and the pandemic, it's a completely virtual event. But what that does as a result is it makes it that much more accessible to everyone. Anyone who had the excuse, oh, I can't make it in person, no longer has that excuse. Everyone's able to connect via Zoom, and everyone's already kind of used to it by now. It's been months of us working, collaborating online. So, um, it's I'm excited to see how this forces people to innovate differently as well. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, you go on the website and you can see all the different locations that this event is held all over the world, and you can see the year by year increase in those dots. And if you hit next slide, you can see Boston's been there since 2014. And so you will go on this website, you will be familiar with it because you will have to create an account and register your project and submit it here as well. And this is the only way that you will be able to get a ISAC mask. Okay, you must complete your project submission and submit it by the deadline for you to receive the ISAC mask. Additionally, you must be within the 48 contiguous United States. We cannot ship internationally, and we apologize for that. Next slide, please. So we've had more than 40 participants in 2019 and 250 participants since 2014. We've tried to, every year our event locally here gets better and better. This year we've tried not to make that an exception. We've tried to put on the best event possible. Our organizers work very hard to plan and coordinate logistics and make sure that people get the right information to be where they need to be at the time they need to be there. And as a result, we've had a lot of success, and our teams that competed local here in Boston have had a lot of success often having teams go into the global finalists. It's very exciting. It's very exciting to see the innovation that comes out of Boston. Next slide, please. So next, I'm going to hand things back over to Eriko. Eriko is the co-founder of Binovative, and she's the one who's responsible for starting the International Space Apps Challenge here in Boston. And without further ado, Eriko, take it away.
Thank you, Jason. Hi again, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Hi again, this is Eriko. Welcome to ISAC Boston again. So I am founder and CEO of Binovative. And Binovative is an non-NPO organization based in Boston. Trying to aim empowering community in Japan and Boston to foster entrepreneurial mindset and multicultural perspective through cross-cultural collaborations projects. So I started Binovative when I was studying in Babson College in Boston, doing MBA. And then I'm very passionate about global collaborations, innovation, and I'm believing that innovation comes from collaboration. Can you go next slide? Next slide, okay. So then as this went through, Binovative started hosting NASA ISAC in Boston from 2014. And thanks to Boston community, we were able to host every year. It's 7th year, amazing. So every year, awesome, talented people from Boston area join us as attendees and mentors, volunteers, and some people come back to next year, following year, and become a mentor, become the volunteer staff even. So look at the Dilson, he, just speaking, but he started from the attendee and then become staff and mentor, and then as a from Gerald, going to introduce later, but he's in hacking few years and they become the volunteer staff right now, in organizer this year. So, and also we because Binovative's mission is trying to connect the multicultural. So we always welcome attendees from not only Boston, not even US, overseas, from Japan especially. So we do have attendees from Japan, I think, this year. So looking forward to collaboration with people from overseas. Tomorrow's presentation, I can wait for that. And also, that being said, we are not first time to organizing the virtual hackathon, online hackathon. So you, for sure, you're gonna enjoy this hackathon. Can you go next, please? Yeah. And then also, because of the event I joined, hosted by Consulate General in Japan, 2013. Consulate General office helping us a lot this year. And every year, this event is kicked off by Consul General. So likewise, this year, we have Mr. Omori here. I can see your nice background there. So I can hand off the microphone to Mr. Omori, and then let's stop sharing the screen.
Thank you, Eriko-san. Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to speak a few words for the opening to the International Space Apps Challenge 2020. I'd like to send my best tribute to today's participants for coming together from many parts and for working hard to make this event valuable and exciting. I'd also like to give a special thanks to NGO Binovative, led by Eriko-san, for splendid preparation work for the realization of this event. The Consul General of Japan has its pride to the commitment for the hackathon. For a long time, we worked together with Binovative for building connections with Boston's innovation ecosystem for the promotion of Japan-US collaborations in science. Last April, NASA and JAXA launched joint investigations on the effects of COVID-19 using an observation satellite to identify the changes in the global environment before and after the pandemic. The researchers involved in the study found that this pandemic has inflicted by far broader impacts than they had imagined on the global environments. That appeared, among others, in the deterioration of water quality, air pollution in terms of the CO2, NO2, depletion of forests, and so on. Needless to say, those changes are posing serious threat to us all. I presume all participants here today with wide range of specialties, knowledges, and ambitions have great potential to improve our understanding of the universe, to address global challenges, and to collaborate across every area and background. The theme of this year's hackathon is Take Action. I expect groups of participants work out unique and superb ideas to cope with the challenges we are facing. Let me add a piece of encouraging news. Among the participants today, we have 3 junior scientists from ZKI Learning Lab. When it comes to curiosity and flexibility, I believe age does not matter. I guess there will be lots of things to learn from them. I'd like to conclude my brief remarks by wishing good luck to all of you with enormous creative and exploratory minds. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omori. And let's share the one screen again. Yes. Okay. All right. And then can you go? Yes. And also we welcome one more, speech at Mr. Brandon Allen. So he's been actually judge from beginning. 2014. So he's been with us in the Isaac Boston community from the beginning. So I really appreciate his support and his great the subject expert. So I'm gonna turn on my microphone, and can you unmute Brandon?
Yes, can you hear me? Sorry, that's become my favorite phrase since the start of the pandemic. Anyway, yeah, I just want to welcome everybody to the geez, I can't believe it's 2020, so 6 years, no, yeah, too many years. So, but anyway, I want to welcome everybody to the hackathon this year. It's really wonderful to see the enthusiasm of everybody as they take on the challenges presented to humanity, and really in the environment that we find ourselves in this year, it's really apparent how important it is to really take up the serious work of trying to understand the world and really come after some of these problems. And in years past, sometimes it's been more fun, and now everybody in the world has really an immediate problem ahead of them. So it's a very good illustration of really the importance of taking on some of these events. But I also want to thank I want to thank all of the organizers and everybody else who's participated, and I really look forward to seeing some of the solutions to the issues that you tried to tackle in the next day or so. And then hopefully you'll also bring that enthusiasm and push those projects forward into a longer term perspective on not only the world, but also in trying to really get really get your hands into solving the problems of the world as it goes. So it's a nice lead into that for people who haven't done it before, and it's also how should I say? It's also a very good opportunity to try and form new collaborations and run with it as it were. Anyway, so sorry if I'm running on too long. I don't know how long you wanted me to talk, and it's easy to lose track when you're stuck inside of a computer screen. So I hope that you all have fun, and I really look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Thank you so much, Brandon. It's awesome to have you back. So moving right into it, these are the challenges that NASA has issued this year. So challenging you to observe, to inform, sustain, create, confront, connect, and even to invent your own challenge. I mean, as it has been, 2020 has already been a very challenging year, but yet NASA is challenging you to see how you can improve, what you can innovate to improve the problems in these categories. Next slide, please. So the way it breaks down is when you go on the 2020 Space Apps Challenge website .org/challenges, what you'll find is you can choose a category, and then there are individual challenges under those categories. If you click on those challenges, you'll see the detailed, a detailed breakdown of the problem itself, as well as the resources that NASA has provided you to address this challenge. These are by no means the only resources you're allowed to use. You're allowed to use whatever you have available to you to address these challenges, but these might be data sets, they might be informational pages, they might be agencies that monitor instrumentation that collects data around these challenges, but there are resources available for just about every challenge out there that NASA has made available. So highly recommend you engage with those. Next slide, please. Speaking of resources, in addition to the resources linked under each individual challenge, there are two websites that you can also visit. open.nasa.gov/open-data, and that has a large data sets that you can use to incorporate into your solutions, that you can analyze, that you can aggregate and incorporate. And then the other website is images.nasa.gov, and this is just a huge data set of imagery of images, everything from like satellite imagery to telescope imagery to instrumentation imagery from instruments here on Earth, and that's available at images.nasa.gov. Next slide, please. So next, we're going to talk about our sponsors. Toyota has been with us for many years, and they've supported us. Excited to have them back. Zekai Learning Lab, thank you for sponsoring us this year. And Kintone has been a generous sponsor this year as well. So I'm going to hand things off to one of the, do we have a Kintone representative with us here today?
We sure do.
All right, thank you. Take it away.
Thanks a lot, Delson. Good morning, good day, everyone. My name's Nim, and first of all, thanks for being here today. A lot of different ways that you can be spending your weekend, and you're choosing to spend it doing something awesome. So genuinely, good for you. Really great. I want to share with you a little bit about Kintone, who we are, what we do, and how we can help you, not just this weekend, but perhaps for the future. So next slide, please. Hey, we are Kintone. Next slide, please. I want to share with you 4 things in our brief time together today. 1, what is Kintone, how to use it, how it can be useful for you in a hackathon, and what are the benefits of hacking with Kintone. So next slide, please. Kintone is a cloud platform that creates web databases ridiculously quickly. Next slide. What do we mean by that? Well, with traditional databases, you typically need a high-level understanding of how to use them. The servers, you need to have basically like a server that's constantly running, needs to be maintained. You need to spend time and cycles making sure that it's set up the way that it's needed. And even if you have like a typical GUI tool, like what you see over here in this image is it's an example of like of SQL Workbench, which is like a typical tool for interacting with a database. It's non-intuitive, and it creates friction for its use. Next slide. Comparably, when you're building a database with Kintone, you're dragging and dropping fields into a canvas, like you're building a form. You don't need to set up any servers. Everything is just right there for you to very quickly spin up the backend that you need to build what you're looking for, and allow you to focus the time on more challenging aspects of the problem you're trying to solve. Next slide, please. There's nothing that you need to Kintone is currently used in the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, and they use it for handling inventory, invoicing, resource planning, purchasing. So if you spin up Kintone for use with your project this weekend, just know that it's already being used in NASA to handle, various parts of managing a project. Next slide, please. Now, when you use Kintone, first thing you need to know is there's nothing to install. What you're going to do is, next slide, you'll submit an application form, and then you'll access Kintone through the link that's sent to you via the email. They'll have more instructions for how to spin it up. Next slide. And once you've set up your Kintone database, what we call an app, you can access the data, first of all, via the web browser by logging in and interacting with the data that way. And you also have access to it via an open and well-documented REST API. Next slide. So if you're accessing Kintone through the browser, you can use the GUI to very easily spin up, again, what we're calling databases in this slide deck, but what we're actually refer to inside Kintone as apps, which you can imagine as tables in a database or spreadsheets in a workbook. And you can create these databases very quickly, view, add, and edit records, update the database schema. All of this can be done quickly and easily through the Kintone interface. Next slide. If you're accessing Kintone via the REST API, you're gonna have your server make calls to Kintone, just with the typical fetch requests if you're getting information, or post requests. And we have more information about that on the documentation. Next slide. So I want to make sure that we're leaving you with some possibilities for how to use Kintone in hackathons. Typically, folks are using Kintone in hackathons to store incoming data, managing data that's going to be displayed on the Hackathon apps UI. So you can use it essentially as a database on the back end, or as essentially like a serverless database. Next slide. So one use case that we've seen in hackathons is using Kintone as a backend that holds sensor data, and then what happens is there's a microcontroller that accesses that sensor data and uses that sensor data to move to give legs to a flower pot and to move it closer to a sunny place. Next slide. Another example of Kintone use in a hackathon has been to use it as backend storage for inventory. The hackathon participants created a point of sale system using Flutter, which is like a Google created tool for building mobile apps, building the front end of a mobile app interface, and then hooking into Kintone on the back end for inventory data, and also for outputting graphs. Next slide, please. And then a third example has been to basically use a Raspberry Pi to pull data from Twitter and identify like the top trending TV shows, push that data into Kintone, and then have custom remote controls ping Kintone for data on the highest trending TV shows, and then change the channel on the TV to watch those TV shows. Next slide, please. So overall, here are 3 reasons why you'd want to use Kintone for your hacks this weekend. Very, very quick and easy to build databases. You can get something spinning in easily less than a half an hour, less than 15 minutes. It's very, very quick. Then you can change the schema and change the data with the GUI. And you also very, very fortunate to announce that you've got professional Kintone mentors that are available for you to use as a resource this week. Next slide, please. I want to introduce you to 3 members of our team who are going to be available at various times during the weekend. Leo, who's one of our senior sales engineers, very, very talented, and great for, if you want to use Leo as a resource for understanding the Kintone API and for all of the different ways that you can be creative using that API. Genji, who's with us this morning, and who's one of our developer advocates. And also Genji's got a very great understanding of the Kintone API and can help you troubleshoot and understand how to use it. And Will, who's also one of our developer advocates. And Will and Genji are joining us from Tokyo. Leo's joining us from the West Coast. And Will's got a lot of creativity behind him. He's built all sorts of really thoughtful and interesting builds with Kintone as a backend. So you've got 3 tremendous resources that are available to you. Next slide, please. Please take note of the office hours. These are on Eastern time. So today, Saturday, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. We'll have our office hours. And then Sunday from 11 a.m. to closing. There's a channel over here, Isaac_2020 _Kintone _questions, and you can ping us for questions over there. Go ahead and just write that down. Make sure that you take a note of that. Erico, will this information be available to participants later?
What's the question?
Will this information be available to participants?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I will post this PDF to Slack.
All right, terrific. Well, then let's keep going then. Thank you so much, Erica. And to sign up for Kintone, it's fairly quick. You're going to click on 2 links. The first link is going to be to sign up for a developer account. Make sure you are using Chrome or Firefox and that you have set up cookies to be accepted. And that way you can submit your form for the developer account, and then you'll create a Kintone subdomain by clicking on that link. That subdomain, you'll need to use lowercase numbers and hyphens. Next slide, please. And we're happy to announce that we've made a $300 Amazon gift card available as a prize for the best use of the Kintone API. So we will be awarding that tomorrow as part of our judging. We're very excited to announce that, and we're very excited to put some money in your hands. Next slide, please. My name is Nim. I'm the technical evangelist here at Kintone. On behalf of all of us at Kintone, we want to wish all of you the best of luck in this hackathon this weekend. And thank you for participating and for being the kind of active citizens that are up to something. And thanks for the time. I'll turn it back over to Delson or Erico.
Thank you so much, Kintone. We're really glad to have you as a sponsor this year and excited to see how people, I'll actually be creating a developer account myself and checking out your platform. I'm excited to see what participants, how they use it. So, so if you, just to brief everyone a little bit on the Slack channel, if you're not already familiar, highly recommend you get familiar with it, you get on it. So if you have questions for mentors, there is a Slack channel for there's a channel room in there for mentors. If you have channel questions specifically for Kintone, there's also a group in there that you can address those questions directly. Please post your questions in one of those two areas and refrain from messaging mentors or organizers directly, because we want everyone to have access to the questions as well as the answers, because if chances are if you're asking a question, other people are also asking, wondering the same thing. And so if you want to create if you would like an individual room for your team, contact organizers and we will create a channel for your team so that you can work more closely with mentors if need be. Okay. Next slide, please. So to introduce the mentors that you'll have available to you this year, I'll kick it off by myself. My background is mechanical and aerospace engineering. I'm currently working on the International Space Station. No, I'm just kidding. I'm here in a lab in Boston at Mass General Hospital. Currently in the lab at the moment, and I work on Search for Extraterrestrial Genomes project, which is a Mars life detection instrument. And so if you have anything related to mechanical engineering or mechanical design, structural analysis, anything like that, feel free to reach out and ask me. Next, Harish can introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself.
Good morning. I'm super excited to be here and be a mentor for ISAC 2020. I am a tech entrepreneur. My company focuses on machine learning for asset management, for industrial automation and things like that. Been a mentor and an organizer for The Innovative and ISAC since 2014, since the time we started. My specialty would be around cloud computing, distributed systems. If you want to understand how to set up databases, set up servers, interact with some of the tools that are available outside for you to use, contact me. And as always, I look forward to interacting with you folks on the Slack channel, and very excited to see what you come up with next by tomorrow.
Thank you, Harish. The next mentor is Hotaka.
He's not sure today, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. So Hotaka is another mentor. He was not able to, I suppose he wasn't able to join us for the introductory proceedings, but I believe he'll be available later today. He's an astrophysicist from a data science fellow from Rakuten Institute of Technology. He actually we had a session yesterday that basically he walked through a viable project idea just to give people an idea of what you could hack together over the course of the hackathon. And it was very interesting image processing, processing the image data sets from NASA for like had to do with a wavelength of light. But all right, I suppose. Oh, actually, I believe something. So unfortunately, it seems Hotaka will not be available this weekend at all. Apologize for that. The next slide, please. Okay, so these are the organizers that we have that has helped put together the event for this weekend. And are we doing individual introductions, or should I just go
Yes,
through?
just speak one word.
Okay. So you guys already know about me. I'm gonna shut up and let someone else talk.
Yeah, so Mariko, I spoke in earlier already, so I'm lead organizer being here. Select me any question or if you wanna some specific question, innovative, who knows. Love to talk to you guys. The Gerald.
Good morning. This is Harish again. So you heard me speak a little bit before. I'm here also as an organizer. So if you need anything around logistics, around Slack, things like that, please reach out. I'm also available on the Mentor channel for any mentor questions.
Hi, I'm Igor. I'm pushing the buttons in Zoom today. I'm an electrical engineer, a math teacher, and a musician. So we're going to be playing for you tonight at 8 o'clock with Hiroko, who is here also. Back to Delson.
All right, thank you so much. So as I mentioned, these organizers will be available through the Slack channel whenever you need them. As I mentioned, if you have questions, please post it in the organizer channel. Next slide, please. So
Oh no,
how to get
you missed Yuki before. Go to it.
Oh,
Next
I'm
slide.
sorry.
That's okay. Hi,
That's
my
okay.
name is Yuki. This is the fourth year I'm helping to organize this event. My main focus this year has been mostly the organization of, I guess, the registration part of it and doing those social media posting.
Thank you. So how to get connected. So presumably the reason why you're here is you've all registered on the Eventbrite. If you registered on the Eventbrite, you got the link for the Slack channel. The next thing that you need to do is you need to register on 2020 spaceappschallenge.org. Make sure you have your account registered. You can add your team information there, as well as the challenge that you are tackling with your team. If you need help finding a teammate and a project, the Slack channel is going to be your best bet. There's going to be participants there, organizers helping participants find each other. And so that's that. Next slide. So as we cover the timeline, we're coming right up to the 10 a.m. pitching event where we'll just basically open it up for people to share their ideas and try to, procure teammates and form teams, and we'll be facilitating that. And then again, mentor office hour at 1 p.m. to 2, and 3 p.m. to 4, and 5 p.m. to 6. and then at 8 p.m. to 8:30 will be a musical performance. Next slide.
Oh, then sorry, jumping. The all link for the Zoom is posted in Slack, and also use get email if you are registered in NASA.
Thank you. That's right. So finally, there will be one last office hour from 10 to 11 at the on tomorrow, Sunday morning, and then at 12 is the deadline. You got to make sure your presentation is submit. The other thing there is make sure that you submit the same thing as what you present. Okay, you cannot submit and then make a change and present that because you'll risk being disqualified if you do that. So make sure that you stop, you submit, and you present based on what you submitted. And the presentation and judging will happen from 1 p.m. and then at 3:30 we will announce the winners. So if you win, we'll circle back to you about this, but eventually you'll have 7 days until October 12th to create a 1-minute video, 60-second video explaining your project, and basically you'll have to condense your presentation down to 1 minute and make a video to submit to NASA. So we'll help you navigate that when the time comes. Next slide, please. So don't forget to join us at 8 p.m. We'll have a live musical performance from Igor and Hiroko. Very excited to see that. Igor will be on the guitar and Hiroko will be on the flute. Very excited about that. So please don't forget about that. Please join us. Should be very, very exciting. Next slide. About the team. So to form a team, there is a limit to team size. We want to keep it under 6 people, just because that's hard to. Anything more than that, it's going to be hard to manage. You only have so much time. You don't want to be stuck, doing project management, and coordinating communication between people when you really already have a limited time to actually get the work done. So tight teams can move faster and can work better. And so we'll be helping. If you don't have a team yet, come talk to us on the Slack channel. If you have a team, good luck. If you have any other questions, go ahead and message us on the Slack channel as well, and we'll keep it moving. Next slide, please. So general information about teams again. You don't need a team, but really to get the most out of this event, that's what it's all about. It's about collaboration. Some of these challenges are pretty difficult. You're more than welcome to tackle them on your own, but we highly recommend that you participate with other people and you collaborate, because that's how innovation works best, right? It's collaboration, sharing ideas. So then the whole event is really focused on collaboration, not really competition. So it's baked into what the event is. As I mentioned, 4 to 6 people team size, and if you, like I said, you're free to come to the event with the team form, but a lot of people just join on the day of and jump in. So next slide, please. So you can get to work right away. You can use the data sets available to you, the resources available under each challenge, the 2 data sets, the 2 resources that I mentioned earlier, and then anything Kintone provides as well with their platform. Any tools or data sets that they have available for you to use, you're free to use as well. You're encouraged to stick to one challenge just because you're going to have a limited amount of time. So pick a challenge, try to develop the best solution you can for that challenge, and submit to one. If your idea doesn't really fit, perfectly into a challenge, you are allowed to make your own challenge. So yeah, there's create your own challenge category in the 2020 SpaceAppsChallenge.org website, and you can see it there. So you'll make sure you want to create the project page on 2020spaceapps.org so that when you submitted all the information is there. You can do that as you go along throughout the competition. I don't recommend that you leave it the last minute, just because you're going to be wanting to, cross your T's and dot your I's on your projects. Make sure you make that page and you have it like ready to take in all the information from your Igor. Next slide. Oh, thank you. NASA's criteria regarding submission. So basically, the thing to keep in mind here is if you have a startup and you're including some technology or some idea that you have, if you have some technology that you're incorporating from some idea that you have and you want to patent it, this is not the place for you to include it. Everything submitted on the NASA page, NASA website, is considered public domain and therefore not necessarily patentable. Okay, this is under open source license. Everything that you use and everything that you submit is open and free to the public. So if you have your $1 million idea, this is not where you want to post it. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the session here, we'll be mailing out the International Space Apps Challenge mask to everyone who submits a project that they pitched and presented on the Space Apps in the 2020 Space Apps Challenge website, and if you're in the contiguous United States. So you can look forward to that. Make sure you get your submissions in on time so that you can get your mask. Next slide, please.
So can you just read through this lesson again? This is kind of important point. So
what's that? Sorry.
Yeah, previous page. Yeah. So this is eligibility. There's a five things to do. You must do to get this prize. That not only submitting, also you have to present tomorrow a presentation, and after presentation, you get a survey. So you're gonna need to fill the survey, and we need to know your address to ship out. So after that, we know you're eligible to do that. So make sure to meet all like number 1 to 5 criteria to do that. Right,
Thank you, Erico, for that clarification. You're absolutely right. If you win, first and second place prize will include a cotton canvas yacht tote bag from with the International Space Apps Challenge logo on it. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. Next slide, please. And then we also have Kintone will be issuing their prize for the best use of the Kintone API. So get creative, get busy with that. You have that to look forward to. Thank you very much for providing an additional prizes here, Kintone. We appreciate that. Thank you. Next slide. So hackathon rules, okay? Next slide. We're going to cover the rules for the project. So as we mentioned, there are the categories, and the team is to take action. So what action can you take to observe, to inform, to sustain, to create, to confront, to connect, and how can you enable other people to take those actions as well? Next slide. So for prep, you want to go to 2020spaceappschallenge.org. You want to choose location, Boston, Mass. You want to make sure you register for the Boston chapter of the event so that your submissions don't get lost or submitted to some other location. Next slide. Registration. So you'll be able to, on that registration page, you'll be able to register your team as well. if you're formed, and also choose your challenge. And you'll be able to put a description. You'll be able to link your GitHub page to add any code, submit any code that you wrote during the event, and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. So for team formation, yeah, you have to have an account on spaceappschallenge.org in order for you to form the team. And one participant from each team needs to create the team. Not everyone in the team has to create a team. If one person creates it, that's the thing. In order for you to add your team members, everyone on the team has to be registered on spaceappschallenge.org. And then only one person needs to add that user to their team. So yeah, you can also, if your team is registered on there, you can find the team and request to join it. So that works out well for people who maybe have a team, need more members, or for people who haven't formed a team yet and need to join one. So you can easily do so through the website very easily at spaceappschallenge.org. Yeah, and as I said before, team sizes, maximum team size is 6. Keep it under that, you'll be good to go. Next slide, please. So it's fairly straightforward on the website. You go on there, you choose your challenge, find or create a team. You can go ahead and click that. Next slide, please. And so then if the team already exists, you have the option to look for it. If you want to start a team, you can just do so, and you add people's usernames right below. Next slide, please. And then you agree that you're working as part of the team member. You hit create team, and you can start filling in information about your challenge. Yeah, next slide, please. So if team's already made and you're just joining it, you can join the existing team. Next slide, please. Okay, on the website, in addition to, if you go through the challenges, you can see what resources are available specific to each challenge. That's just NASA's suggestion. They kind of curated that to facilitate accessing resources for a specific challenge. You can also access a broad the resources in general through the resource tab on the spaceappschallenge.org website. Next slide, please. And then we'll post this document, as all these are references to things discussed on today's session, opening session, information that will be useful throughout the event, information on judging, awards, the virtual boot camp, team formation, all that project submission guidelines. Everything will be, you'll have access to everything on the Slack, and we'll post a document with all these links and resources.
Sorry, Jason. The previous stage link, right? Can you go back to previous stage page? And yes, if you click the resource, the resource, then go to next page. You can see, I think if you log into, yeah, and then you are able to access to the directory by yourself. So make sure to, not this one, the previous one. So yeah, this one, yeah. So after you click the resources, you'll be able to access this, or PDF after you click. So like how to form team, or even like judging guide or submission guidelines, you can go by clicking this link. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yes. So similarly to how Kintone has provided us access to their APIs, there are also offers available for you to access additional resources through the through partners associated with the International Space Apps Challenge. These are not affiliated with Binovative in any way, but you're free to go check it out and see what's available, what's out there. Next slide. So these are a list of some of the partners with the International Space Apps Challenge global. And so Amazon, GoDaddy, Google, IBM, Metomatics, Microsoft, Miro, and Tableau have all provided some level of resources or software or APIs or who knows. You guys should check it out. These are all available for you to use to help you create and develop your ideas, your solutions. Next slide, please. To submit your project, again, you have until noon tomorrow, and you're going to want to submit your projects on your project page under your team's information there. You're going to need to submit your presentation. You're going to want a summary write-up, 3 to 4 paragraphs outlining your project, describing it, covering the idea, your methods, maybe results of any tests you developed. And you'll also be required to submit this to a Google Drive where the judges from Binovative side will be able to review it. Okay. Remember, you have about 5 minutes to present, and then you'll have Q&A for the judges. So make sure that you can defend or you can answer questions that the judges may be asking you about your project. You wanna come in ready, prepped. Yeah, next slide, please. So tomorrow at 12:30, we'll start we'll start the presentation session on Zoom, and then we'll kick off presentations at about 1 p.m. And so you'll want to be ready to go for that. Next slide. Again, as I mentioned before, this is an open source hackathon, so keep that in mind as you develop your ideas and you provide, you develop your IP. Over 15,000 participants in 161 cities from 61 countries around the world, working together in teams during 48 hours to develop over 1,300 projects. These projects showcase innovative and creative open source solutions valuable not just to NASA, but to the world. So keep that in mind. I mean, I've come back to these projects time and time again just for inspiration or to look at how I did something in the past that I want to do again or revisit it to continue. You never know where these projects can go. Actually, Christopher Carr, which is one of the judges, is my current boss for the lab that I work at. I met him at the NASA Space Apps Hackathon, and now I work at the lab that he works at. So that was pretty cool. You never know where these projects will take you. Next slide. Speaking of judges, so the awards and eligibility are based on, it's based on a few things. It's based on the creativity of your solution, the feasibility of your solution. One thing to keep in mind is that the invent your own challenge, the create your own challenge, is not eligible for a global award. You could win locally here, but that's where it ends. And that's fine, honestly. I mean, if you're here to learn, you're here to have a good time. You can still do that if you create your own challenges. You don't have to win on a global level. Just keep that in mind. To be eligible for awards, you must develop a project in response to one of the official Space Apps challenges, as I mentioned. You have to include a link to your code in a public repository for your project page. So this would be your GitHub link for your repository. Keep any code developed during the event open source. Remember that? That's under the license that everything is posted under and stored under, published under, I should say. Ensure that all your team members are registered and identified on the team's web page, okay? Can't just hire a team of developers in some Asian country and then put it together and be like, oh, we did it in 48 hours. You know what I mean? That's not the spirit of this event. Submit your project by midnight, Sunday, October 21st, in your local time zone. No, that's wrong. Submit your project by noon on October 4th. That's tomorrow at noon. Make sure you submit it by tomorrow at noon. Okay, ignore that bottom one there. Next slide, please. Noon Eastern Standard Time, that is. As I just mentioned him a few moments ago, Dr. Christopher E. Carr. He's an assistant professor at Georgia Institute of Technology. He's an aerospace engineer and atmospheric sciences. He's a really cool dude. I've had the pleasure of working with him for the last few years, and I've learned a lot under him. And he was a huge help to me as a mentor in the space apps and here at my job. Brendan Allen, you got to meet him earlier today. Also, amazing person. Has been a huge asset to Binnovative and being a judge and provided amazing feedback to people presenting their projects, helping them think critically and consider different points of views of their project they had not seen before. Jun Suzuki is a associate professor of computer science at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. He's director of UMass Boston Distributed Software Systems Group. And Mike Kane is an engineering leader with broad cross-functional experience in robotics, 3D printing, consumer electronics, telecommunications, and virtual reality and manufacturing automation. So we have some really amazing people here. I highly recommend that everyone, reach out to the judges if you can, add them on LinkedIn if you wish. You network, leverage this opportunity. There's a lot of high quality, professionals involved with Binnovative. We've been very fortunate to attract that kind of people, and I highly recommend that you network with them because you never know where a simple introduction might take you. You never know. Next slide, please. Again, the judge for the Kintone, the best use of the Kintone API will come from Nim. He's a technical evangelist at Kintone who helps application developers and citizen developers discover the benefits of unifying their communication with their data on Kintone's easy to build on platform. Just as important, he has a killer hummus recipe and can make his own natto. There you go. If you were wondering that, now you know, guys. Next slide, please. So local judging criteria. So again, 5 things that the judges will leverage to evaluate and judge your project: impact, creativity, validity, relevance, and presentation. Okay. So as you keep these things in mind from the start, you want to do that because then you're not scrambling at the end to, make up, some point of your project that you didn't consider early on. You want to keep these things in focus, keep them in view, keep them in mind as you develop and formulate and shape your project. Next slide, please. 240 seconds of glory, a model for the perfect pitch space apps. So you want to make sure that you pay attention and be authentic. Spend the first 45 seconds grabbing the attention of your audience, right? Describe the opportunity or the problem that you're solving. You want to create empathy for the problem, help people relate to the issue, the pain of this problem, the inconvenience that it causes, right? Explain your big idea, explain how it's innovative, explain how it works, detail your core concept, right? And then 4, impact your needs, right? Why does this matter? How does it affect people? How is it the best solution for this problem, right? And look towards the future, right? A lot of people like to add a next steps too, explaining like what would be, this is what we've done up to this point in the hackathon. This is where it could go. This is where we could take it. If you have time and that makes sense for your project, I highly recommend that. Next slide, please. So we already talked about eligibility for the mask. Make sure you follow these 5 steps to make sure you are eligible for you to get that mask. Next slide, please. Global judging. So local judging consists of those 5 points that I brought up earlier and those 4 judges that will be looking at your projects. From all of these local projects, there'll be 2 winners, first and second place. And then this year we don't have a People's Choice, but we have the Kintone API winner. And so what will happen is the first and second place winners will create a 30-second video project video that will have to be submitted by October 12th, 11:59 p.m. to the 2020.spaceappschallenge.org webpage where your project page exists. They will enable a video submission for the winners. And so you'll be tasked to do that should you win here locally. Next slide, please. So the timeline for that global judging is as follows. So you'll find out if you won tomorrow at 3, and then you have so local organizers will submit the global judging results, meaning like who won locally, and so then in that meantime, the 2 winners will be out busy producing their videos. They'll have to submit by the 12th, and then in late October to early December, they will start reviewing submissions. In early December, they will announce finalists, and then the finalists will enter executive judging in mid-January, December to mid-January. In late January, the global winners will be announced across the following categories: best use of data, best use of hardware, galactic impact, most inspirational, best mission concept, and best use of science. Next slide, please. So this is a helpful guide for creating your 30-second video in case you need it. So in the first 2 seconds, you want to introduce yourself, your team, your names and your team. In the next 3 seconds, you want to lead into the topic, probably, announce the challenge that you worked on. And then in the next 5 seconds after that, you want to name your solution, and maybe create a tagline, something catchy, something that catches your attention. Explain what people are gaining, what's the opportunity, how does it solve the problem, and then in the following 10 seconds after that, explain how your solution works. What are what's the prototype you produced, and how did you prove the concept? How did you conclude that it's feasible, and all those things. And then paint a picture of, if you had more time, or the evolution of this process. If NASA, say, were to continue this project, where would they take it? What's the route? How does it develop? And so that's just to give you an idea of how you can approach the video portion of your submission, should you need to. Next slide, please. Actually, go back to the last slide real quick. So the other thing I was going to say is you can leverage this format, this idea for your presentation as well. You can expand the timing, take more time for each part, but this is also a good layout for your project presentation. So if you didn't have an idea where to start with that, you can start with any one of these suggestions. Next slide, please. So what will be the award for the Space Apps 2020 Global winners? So Space App winners will be featured on the Space Apps website and social media. They'll receive an invitation to present their projects to NASA personnel. If travel is deemed safe at the time, the winners will also be invited to visit NASA site with Space Apps Global organizing team to view a spacecraft launch. So that's pretty awesome. Each member of the winning team and one guest each will be invited with and will be responsible for covering their own costs for their travel personnel, meals, and incidental expenses and accommodation expenses. So keep that in mind. Next slide, please. Again, these are the mentors available to you during mentor office hours, as well as on the Slack channel. Take advantage. Next slide, please. These are the organizers. Feel free to reach out to us on the Slack channel as well if you have questions, if you need help finding a team or anything, really. Next slide, please. So while you're hacking, if you're sharing, you found cool resources, or you found a cool, you found cool apps or cool ideas, you're trying to recruit people, give us a shout out, tag us, and we'll tag you back. We'll shout you out. It's all about collaboration. So get out there. Get hacking. Next slide, please. Idea pitch and team formation. So if you have an idea and you're looking for teammates, you're going to want to pitch your idea. You can do it here. We're going to open it up in a few. Or you can do it in the Slack channel too. I really advise the Slack channel because you post it there once, everyone will see it sooner or later, and they can reply to you directly on there. So
yeah, sorry. I actually, this is the end of the opening ceremony. So thank you very much for everybody. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So I would say good luck to the people who already have a team. I know some like already, I checked last night to the team page under NASA Isaac. There's only already 8 team formed. So it's amazing things. I never seen that things before. So anyway, so carry on. And if you're looking for a teammate, we are going to stay here, and then we'll open up the microphone, everybody. So as I mentioned earlier, we are opened up the team formation slash pitching session room here. So some of the organizer member stay here and then help you, like Gerald, and then there's one you can stay, or there's one you probably have to go. So then Harish as well. So some of us stay here. People who don't have team or team member, or need some help, stay here. Otherwise, thank you so much. You can start working, and then make sure to connect with us on the Slack, and then see you probably for sure see you guys on 8 p.m. tonight for the music. And or we are open up the mentor session and this afternoon 1, 3, 5 p.m. So, and then Kingdom sessions as a time slot, but then utilize our resources to get a project. Now you wanna stop sharing? Oh, very nice.
Okay, at this time, should we have anybody who has a pitch that they want to make? Can you let us know in either chat, and we'll get you set up to do that.
If you want, you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself here to tell people what your skill set is. But as Gerald said, you might want to go to the Isaac Team Formation Slack chat and post your introduction there.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Yuki just brought to my attention that we have some people said they're looking for teams on the Space Apps Boston on the main Space Apps site for Boston. So I just posted the link there. Take a look and see if the teams there are looking for team members, and you can contact them as well. All those teams should also be available on Slack, so that you might be able to target who you talk to. I just posted the link in the Zoom chat.
Harish, I think he posted privately to me only.
I put it back. Thank you, Igor. Somehow it defaulted to you when we were talking. So I posted it publicly. Yes.
So does this meeting run out to 1 p.m. or is it gonna come to a close?
This one will come to a close because if people are already forming teams, or they'll be on Slack anyways for it. If this was more for if anyone wanted to pitch their idea, find people, or people wanted to pitch their skill set and find teams, but they're also on Slack. So I think this one we can close out.
All right. Bye-bye.